I'm Ishihara from the Pokemon Company.
Oh, hello,
Today's
Ishihara-san.
I'd like to touch on two topics.
I'd like to touch on some
Let's
topics
get started
as
with
well.
the first topic.
What's all the hubbub about with this frickin' Pokemon stuff? Like, once again, another Pokemon Direct. People want DLC. People want more content to their game. People want more updates. Just in terms of everything Pokemon, whether it's Sword and Shield or Pokemon Home, Sleep, how to get the new Pokemon in the game, what's next for Pokemon. The Direct starts off, we get this. This is cool. Nobody's got a single problem with it. It doesn't seem. Game looks pretty cool. Free demo. I'm cool with that. It's a remake of an old game, which I would have hoped for a new, better one. And my take on it is pretty much just that. I like the from playing the demo on the Switch. Go get it now, by the way. Check it out. Game comes out in just 2 months, so not too far away. But like, the art style's good. No one had a single problem with this, and I don't either. But what people do have a problem is with this. So the game was good. Pokemon Sword and Shield, they were good. They weren't super great. I like the art style. There was enough to do in the game. It still is just basic Pokemon though, and that seems to kind of be the problem here with these games, because they're just not really doing anything to jump it forward. I mean, you got Dynamaxing and Gigantamaxing, and they did away with like the old school Z moves, but it's not really, this time it wasn't the giant leap that people were hoping for. And even though people wanted like Breath of the Wild, I think they just want, not necessarily in size, they just want a new gameplay. And I think no matter what you do to these games, it's always going to be, there's going to be a border to it, an edge to it. It's always going to be turn-based. There's only so much that they're going to do with it. And I would personally like to see that next leap be taken in terms of gameplay, or even if it's not a mainline core game, maybe it's time that they make a new mainline core game that's more hardcore, harder, more puzzle-based, still looking great, 3D rendered, and just with more, I don't know, I'm not sure if it would still be a turn-based game or more like a traditional RPG. I'm not exactly sure what people want, and I think that's kind of the problem. Like, where do you take the game from here? Pokemon Sword and Shield, they were pretty good. I pretty much played through it, and I really haven't picked it back up. I'm definitely going to be now that there's going to be new stuff added, which, let's talk about that for a minute. So right here, we're seeing these trailers and stuff. This first one here, it's coming out in June-ish. It might get pushed back. It's probably not going to get pushed forward, but we're going to be getting it in summer, so it's looking to be this sort of summertime fun, green grasslands, sunny, outside, open adventure, new Pokemon. Hooray. And then the other one's going to be slated for, I guess, December, fall, maybe November. Maybe it comes out when normal Pokemon games come out. Maybe not. Not exactly sure. We'll have to wait and see. Hopefully that doesn't get pushed back as well. But it's winter-based, cold, snow, outside, once again. And then there's a couple of these temples and a bunch of other stuff that hasn't been explained to us. Now, for it only being $30, I guess everybody's big gripe is that normally we would just wait a year and a half, and then we would get Ultra Sword and Ultra Shield, and there would not be really too much added. I guess we're not in the 3DS era anymore, so it's not going to really look any better because we're finally back onto like home console. We're not dealing with a new iteration of the DS, 3DS, new 3DS, 3D iteration like every year. So normally back on the DS, I mean, the mainline game was $40, and then the revised version was again $40, so that's $80. So now we're on the Switch, and it almost seems that no matter what effort they take, what effort they put, the game is going to be $59.99, so it's going to be $60. Now we're getting DLC, and that's $30, so it's like $90 versus like $80, and essentially this is just downloadable. It's not going to be another cartridge, so there's kind of that aspect to it. Me, I'm guessing it's going to be worth it, but it's only $30, so I think people are thinking this is going to be bigger than it is. So yes, it's additional content, and I'm imagining that you're going to get on the train and it's just going to take you to this Tundra and this other Isle of Armor. But for $30, if you imagine the amount of content that's in the regular game, if you cut that in half, I'm guessing that both of these, Part 1 and Part 2, are going to maybe have a gym. You're going to have your rival. You maybe go into the central town part, at least for this dojo. You'll go to the dojo. You'll train up. You'll get the Pokemon. You'll probably see everything that there is to see in the land, which I'm guessing will be the size of a town and a route outside of it. They make it look vast and epic here, but I don't think it's really going to be. I think the shots that they show, both like the beach where the trainer is running under that like rock ridge and then it opens up, I don't think it's going to be really too much bigger than that or the size of a regular town.
What did you think of this first look?
And I'm guessing that they're saying about 200-ish. As far as we know, new Pokemon are going to be added to the game across both of these. So my assumption is that it's going to be cut in half, so about maybe 100 Pokemon per expansion, and then you're going to have to wait to see more. But people's gripe, I suppose, is that they didn't put this into the game. And the game just came out, and it's 2 months old, 2.5, you know, and we're already getting a DLC for it, or at least the promise of it. So it's not done, it's not out. Could they have waited? Yeah, I think maybe they should have just waited until April or May to say, hey, next month, in about 4, 5, 6 weeks, this is going to be dropping. I think that would have went over a little bit better than it is now, because we know that they're working on it and that they've been kind of working on this stuff since before the game even came out. So
I'm working as the director for the Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield expansion.
The main gripe is, why didn't they put this in the game? Well, I guess it's kind of the same as for, say, Breath of the Wild 2. They did, Breath of the Wild 2. When the game originally came out, they put out the DLC, they put out the second part of the DLC, and then instead of doing more, they more than likely left out some ideas from that and said, we're going to be toying with this, and these ideas are becoming so big. And it makes sense for Breath of the Wild. That's a whole different style of game, so it's kind of hard to compare them to each other together. But at least for Breath of the Wild, they're wrapping up the game. They're pretty sure they got it. They're still working on odds and ends. How much further are we going to go? How many more ideas are we going to put into the game itself? And then we know we're working on DLC. Now they're starting to get great ideas, so at some point they just cut it off. They put the DLC out. They leave whatever other ideas on the cutting room floor, so to speak. And it's been 3 years almost since that game came out, so they're still working on Breath of the Wild 2. Some of the ideas you imagine might have been part of the DLC. And I guess, like I said, this is a different scenario because it's not like we're getting a Pokemon Shield 2 or the promise of one in about a year or two from now. Not that these games are really that big and vast that it's going to take that amount of time. I imagine one of these games takes a lot less to work on, and with the amount of money and resources that the Pokemon Company has, they could pretty much hammer it out if they had to, if they needed to. So we're on to the main console, the Nintendo Switch. There's no more two consoles. There's no more handheld and home console going on. So it kind of like blurs that line where we're just at a single console and we're more futuristic now. So it does make sense to do the DLC. And it seems like people's main issue is that this is $30. It should have been in the game. The way I see it, I think people are taking it a little bit the wrong way. Like they're, I think, assuming that this is going to be a bigger adventure than it really is going to be. So one of these parts kind of shows something that one or both of these expansions has sort of a new wild area part to it, like aside from the main town, and I guess we're not really sure on that. So it just, there's no way you can win. There's no way you can win. You're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. But it seems like this just kind of splits the Pokemon base again because people are complaining about it. Again, if you love the game, it's only $30. You want more content, you buy it. If you don't like it, you don't support it. You don't spend the money on it.
We hope you look forward to the new
but I suppose to sit there and not buy it and then put up a fuss, or to buy it and then still put up a fuss, it's
next. I'd like to discuss
blows my mind. Either way,
The second
no matter how many
which has a
ways
theme
you
of
slice and dice
exploration.
it, no matter how many ways you actually do it,
I'm going
there
to
is
show
no
you the
winning,
information we have at the
because
moment.
if these expansions come out and say it's, yeah,
This
you get
expansion is
200
set
new
in the snow-swept
Pokemon, but really
realm
you
of the
just go up
crowned
this main
tundra.
path,
Take a
you go
look
into
for
this
yourself
building
at the
here,
beautiful scenery of this
you
shining,
fight a few
silvery
trainers,
landscape.
you see a couple new Pokemon
As it
that
turns
you
out,
can maybe
the Isle
get
of Armor
outside of
isn't
the
the
building.
only
Maybe you only
uncharted
go
area
in there
waiting
really
for you
once
all
for
in the
this
Galar region.
story expansion part, and then
In
you
this
don't ever
frigid
go back
area,
into that
with
building
its
again.
towering winter
Maybe
mountains,
it's an
people
hour of
live in small
cutscenes, and then
communities
same
to
for,
support and rely on each
you know,
other.
between the two of them, say there's
Much like on the Isle of
2 or
Armor,
3 actual hours
you'll
of
be able to find
playing,
Pokemon that didn't
and
appear
then
in
you
the
just
Galar
kind of
region
get out.
before.
You kind of catch the new Pokemon, and
Fitting
then you
right in with
peace
this
out.
area's
People
theme
would be
of
upset with that
exploration.
because
There will
it's
be
like
plenty
30
for you
bucks
to
for a
uncover.
few
You might
hours.
find a strange
What the
temple where you
hell?
least expect it.
But then there's the other side to that, where
You
what
can
if
gear up
both
for
these
adventure,
expansions
and then head out to explore blizzard
end up having
fields,
as
and
much
even deep inside
content,
Pokemon dens.
cutscenes, dialogue,
only previously
aside
get a
from the
glimpse
200
of during
Pokemon,
max raid
you know,
battles.
that's about half of what the original
Next,
Sword and Shield
we'd like
are.
to
They have
introduce
400 Pokemon.
Calibars,
Here we're getting
the
another
legendary
2, so
Pokemon you'll discover
shouldn't
during
this
your
expansion
adventure.
be about $20 because
Legends
it's
say
basically a
this
third
Pokemon
of what
once
the other
ruled
game
over a
is?
part of Galar
What if
that
this
included the crowned
these
tundra.
expansions come out and they're
It's
as big
characterized
as
by
the
its
initial
graceful,
game?
regal movements. Never
Then
before
the
told
expansion
story
is
about
a
the
deal
mysteries
because it's
of
not
Galar.
$60 for essentially
Crown Tundra
another
will have a new form
game
of co-op
if there
play
is
as
that
well.
much content in the game.
This will allow you
And then it
friends
also
to
makes
enter
other
and
people
explore
mad,
Pokemon
which there's
dens
no
that
way you
exist
could possibly
underground
win
in the
once
Crown
again,
Tundra.
because then it makes people mad
Deep
because
inside
it's,
the dens,
well,
you
if it
may
was
see
so
legendary
grand,
Pokemon
why
from
don't
past
they
games
just put it
Dynamaxing
in the
before
original
your
game? Why
eyes.
didn't they just delay the
You'll
game?
be
Why
able
didn't
to
they
meet and
just
make allies of all
wait
kinds of
and then
legendary
make this a
Pokemon
separate
during your
release?
adventures in
Because
the Crown
people
Tundra,
will act like they have a problem with it,
including ones you'll be able to
in
catch
that this is
through this
DLC
co-op play.
being announced so soon for
It also appears that
$30.
some brand new legendary
People will
Pokemon
still
are also waiting
complain
to be
and
found
make it
somewhere
out
in
like
this
30
land.
bucks is too much, even though we don't know much
And
about these
combined with the Isle
expansions.
of Armor, dozens of
And
new clothing
they
items
would
will be
complain
added.
regardless of if it was
Plus, there will be
30
new battles waiting
or
for you to
whether
challenge
it was
once you complete
60,
your entire game,
or
including the
whether
Isle of
if
Armor
they
and the
waited
Crown
a
Tundra.
year or
We can't go into
14,
the
16,
details of
18
everything,
months
but we're working on
to
planning
then
and developing
release
new ways
another
to enjoy
$60
Pokemon
game
even as we speak.
that
The
is
Isle of
the
Armor and
second
the Crown
half to
Tundra
Sword and
areas
Shield
themselves
without
are
calling
actually
it
two key
Sword and Shield
examples of the
2,
things
or
we're
I
working
guess
on.
maybe it
Both
would be
areas are, in
Super
fact, seamless
Shield.
maps, much
and
like the
Super
wild
Sword.
area you can already experience in the
It's
Galar
just
region,
kind of funny that
where
people are
players able
once
to move
again
around
like
freely and control the camera.
people are going to complain no
course,
matter
you'll be able
what,
to
and it's
connect
always
with
the
other
vocal
trainers and play with
minority,
them,
so you can't
There
really
will be
take
Pokemon
that
dens as
to
well,
heart. But
and you'll be able to
so far
engage
from
in
what I've
max
been
raid
seeing,
battles against
I
Pokemon
guess
that
I haven't
haven't previously
seen
appeared
too
in the
many
Galar
people
region.
complain about it. Kind of just in comment sections
There's more
here
to
and
see
there
and
where
do
it's
on
like,
the Isle of Armor
you know, why
and in
did
the
they do
Crown
this?
Tundra
They should
than
have
there was
done this.
even in the wild area.
Why didn't they delay
bring
the
you more
game? Why
information
didn't?
about
Why
them
are
in
they
future news
announcing
reports,
this so
so please
soon?
stay
Like, what's the
tuned.
point in that? And then there's the whole, it's $60 because if you bought both games
What
and
did
you
you
want to
think?
play it on both games, and there's a lot of
We at Game
confusion
Freak
with
are all
that,
working hard
which
to bring you new content.
if you know Pokemon, then you probably understand it,
So
but
you
there's
can
plenty of
spend more
people that
time
know
having
the
fun in the
Pokemon
Galar
games
region.
and the structure of them and how they've been released in the
hope
past,
you're as excited
and they're
as we
still
are
kind of
for what's to
confused on
come.
this.
The cloud
But then
service
there's
Pokemon
also this
Home,
part that just went by here
as
where
long as the Pokemon
that's kind of
appear
cool
in the
that if you
Pokemon
didn't
Sword
buy
and
the
Pokemon
expansion,
Shield
you can
expansion
still
packs.
obtain these Pokemon. I'm not sure if there's
Pokemon
going to
Home is
be
planned to
a
launch in
limit to
February
that,
2020.
to how many Pokemon you can actually get in the game.
We intend
And then
to
right
shield
there it said
players.
Pokemon Home.
Starting today, it seems
No
like you're
fees
more likely
required,
to run
but
into
it might
Gigantamax
cost a little
Colossal,
bit for the subscription. Like no fee to
Gigantamax
download it, but
Lapras,
then to actually
and
use it,
Gigantamax
it costs
Flapple,
money. So
or
that's,
Gigantamax Appleton in max raid
it
battles
seems
in the
kind of
wild
strange
area.
that they would
Face
do
these
this
powerful
direct
Pokemon
now
with your friends.
when people were
There will
expecting
also
like
be
a new
software
game,
update going
a
live shortly
mystery
after this
dungeon, a new
presentation.
Pokemon trading card
Once
game,
you've
the
received the
game,
update,
the
head
video
to Wedgehurst
game,
Station. In Pokemon Sword,
and then
you'll
maybe
encounter
some Sword and
Clara,
Shield
while in
update,
Pokemon
maybe
Shield,
an
you'll
announcement
run
of
into
some
Avery.
DLC, but
You'll also encounter
most
a
people
Galarian
were
Slowpoke
expecting
that's
that this
wandered
direct
in
was going to
from
be
the
20
Isle of
minutes,
Armor,
maybe
found on
something
the
about
Isle
the
of Armor.
anime, who knows, maybe, yeah, maybe they have a new movie
Or
coming
into
out,
Galarian Slowking
and then Pokemon Home? What about Pokemon Sleep? What about Pokemon Bank?
Don't forget
And
to
kind
check
of
it
just
out.
what is the future of those side features that these guys offer for their games? What is the future of those? How are they going to be integrated? What's changing about them going into the future? And for now, they aren't talking about it, even though Pokemon Home comes out in February. It seems like they're going to wait until the last minute to kind of tweet about it. It's once again just it's going to piss people off to a huge degree, but it's still going to make money, so that's all that matters at the end of the day. So
Whether
what do you
you're just
guys think
starting with
about all
Pokemon
this? This
Sword
has just
and
been
Pokemon
a rant. I still have more to say, but I'm not
Or
just
you've
going to
done
keep
everything
dragging it
there is
on.
to
So
do.
let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And
do our best to
I'll
develop
see you
something
guys
that
next time.
everyone
Happy
can enjoy.
Pokemoning. And yeah,
Stay
peace
tuned
out.
for more updates in
Yes.
the future.